What's poppin'? What's poppin'?
Sorry?
What's poppin'?
But Young Thug, his lyrics are trash. I know. Regular shit.
I believe.
J. Cole did it. J. Cole did his thing as per normal.
Per usual.
Lethal List Podcast.
Yeah.
Building, you already know. It's your girl Slim, aka Urban_Classic with a Q on Instagram. You already know.
And it's your girl Siva. What's good? You already know what the deal is. What the dealio. King Siva on the gram.
So we just gonna have some conversation today. We got the beautiful ladies in the building. So we're gonna have some girl chat. I've been out for the past 2 weeks, as some of you may know. I've had a lot going on, so I'm gonna run down on my situation a little bit because a lot of people had questions as to what happened in my relationship. A lot of people were confused as to what was going on in my relationship as well. And a lot of you assumed that I just had like just a breakup that, like, the breakup itself hurt me, which that wasn't the case. So I just want to clear up a few things. I'm thinking, should I just jump right into it, or like?
I mean, I feel like you should.
Should I warm y'all up, or what should I do?
Cause you kind of basically started talking about it before, so kind of tell them about like a little bit of tea of the relationship, cause you got to give them like a build up, a timeline, a build up, a breakdown.
So, long story short, I was in an abusive relationship, so I'll start from the first fight.
Right. Bitch, tag me in when you're ready.
Yeah. Yes, because Queen Sylvie had to come save me. So it started off, we've been together for about 1.5 years, so a lot happened in such a short time. So I want to start off by saying I'm grateful for one to be able to detach and get away as fast as I did, quote unquote, because, you know, I know a lot of women, we get stuck in these situations for 10 years plus and shit like that. So I'm grateful that although things blew up the way it did, I'm not in it anymore. Right. And I learned a lot. So I'm gonna start from the first fight. Now that happened tonight, and I had to confess that I put hands first, remember? We got into an argument, and long story short, he had me like sitting outside his house for at least an hour. And I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with this nigga? Like, I went to get my clothes and stuff from his house because we were kind of living together at the time. So I went to get my stuff from his crib. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like, this nigga just got me sitting outside his house. He was supposedly at whatever barbershop and all this shit. Like, I had dropped him off at the barbershop, but still, like, I ain't have my keys to his house at the time. So I'm like, what the fuck? Like, now you don't even respect me because you got me just sitting out here like a dumbass. So by the time he came up, I was already on 10. I was on 10. I was fed up. I was pissed off. And I started to swing at him. Now, I will say, like, as a woman, you shouldn't put, as in anybody, you shouldn't put hands on anybody. You get what I'm saying? So, and I do believe if you put hands on somebody, you better prepare for a fight. Because not every nigga is tolerant or mature enough to know how to restrain a woman or anything like that. So, with that being said, though, he wasn't man enough to restrain me. So it turned into now me swinging, him swinging back at me, but now he's overtly doing it. So it became kicking. He choked me up against a fence. And this is maybe 3 months into our relationship. He had choked me up. And now, I guess to go back a little bit, as a woman, you should know your state of mind before you enter a relationship. Like I was, and that was one thing my homegirl Viola, shout out to her, pointed out to me, like, what was your mindset before you even entered the relationship? And it was vulnerable. Like, I was vulnerable. I was broken. I had a lot of things going on financially and things like that. So here comes this wolf in sheep's clothing that looks like a knight to me, and he's giving me things. He's buying me everything that I needed. He helped me get a phone when I first moved back from PA.
But all right, so say it like this, because I feel like I don't want you to come off like, oh, you was just needy. You know
I wasn't needy. No. I didn't ask for anything. I was in PA and I moved back to New York, so I was kind of starting from scratch at the time, and he kind of was helping me as a friend too, more or less, before we even started dating. Right. So I fell for a lot of what ended ended up being controlling things after a while, because once someone gives you all these things, now of course they can take it away from you just as fast as they gave it to you. So
that's a fact.
He gave me like a phone and things like that, and put me on his phone plan, which was convenient at the time. So it started off with all that. So with the fight being said, now now he's super physical within that fight. And I remembered kind of blacking out a little bit because he was choking me, and then he took my phone, he threw it over the fence, and so I didn't have a phone at the time, but thank God that phone it still made it after like 3 times of him throwing it places. But the phone was still working or whatnot, but I was on the phone with my best friend, so she's alarmed. She didn't know what was going on. He called the cops on me ironically, and by the time the cops came, he was still being the aggressor. So of course the tables turned, and long story short, after the cops left, because it was a lot going on, but that's like one of a few fights, so I can't really get into too many details. But later that night, here he comes now, boo-hoo crying, the antics. So anyone that's been in any type of abusive relationship, you kind of understand. Boo-hoo crying, threatening to almost kill himself, saying things like he can't live without me and all this other stuff. And I was just shook because, for one, I've never been in a situation like that ever. I've never even had anyone put their hands on me. So I was for one, confused as to how to even handle it. And so I ended up kind of blaming myself, knowing that, okay, I hit him first. So I'm like, well, maybe if I would have never hit him, this would have never happened.
Start blaming yourself and shit.
I was blaming myself. So I'm like, well, maybe if I never hit him, maybe he deserves another chance because I hit him first. I shouldn't have hit him first. I shouldn't have, I know I'm aggressive. I know I have anger issues, so it's me. And watching him break down, I'm like, well, maybe he really does care, and all these things. So now it leads to a part 2, more or less. So now, probably a month later, the same, and that was the night though that you ended up coming for me. But probably a month later, now we end up in a similar situation where I think I wanted to leave his house or something like that, and it turned into the same thing. He's kicking me, he's choking me, and I actually didn't even put my hands on him this time. So I was confused, and I'm just like, oh, so you are just abusive now? Like, this is not an alarm now.
Yeah.
Like, you
it's
are
not
abusive.
A drill. This is who you are.
This is who you are. But still, like, I tell people, our demons danced, and when I say that, I mean that I was suffering through my own things. Like, I've had my own depressions, I had my own issues, I had my own anger, and I saw a lot of my toxic ways in him. So for some reason, I just kept feeling like, I see what's wrong with you, and I want to fix you, and I can almost take the pain away. In order to fix you, I would kind of sit and allow that. I would take the hits to fix you.
Yeah.
And that was the scary part of it all, and I felt like I'm here for some reason and whatever. So, like, I was taking on the abuse and talking him through it, too, because I would try to, like, we can't do this, and I know you can't, because his mom was abusive. So, I would talk to his mom, and I would talk to him, and I try to get his mom and him to talk, and I try to get him to see therapy, and all these things. I kept trying to fix him, and we got in to the point I got toxic. So then I threw his fan out the window, and I was punching walls, and I'm hurting myself at this point. So a lot of self-inflicted pain started to develop, and a lot of people didn't know because this was going on for months. And literally my only best friend Brittany knew a lot of the stuff because it was too many times I would be on the phone with her and he's snatching the phone out of my hand. Like, it was at one point I thought he was gonna push me down the train tracks because I was with my niece, and my niece said something to me like, I don't like your boyfriend, he's bipolar. And I'm like, and she's 12. So I'm like, well, why you say that? And she's just like, he's just too angry. I don't know what's wrong with him. Like, why is he so angry? And I'm like, he had an attitude. And like, and I'm telling him like, yo, I told you about your attitude. Like, your energy is weird, bro. Like, you might want to look at that. And he flips the fuck out. Oh, you taking the word of a 12-year-old? And
come on, son. That's her family, baby.
And that's my baby. So I was like, Nah, I'm not laying up on this. Like, you better
You're
not.
wildin'.
Whatever she say goes, period. Like,
Right.
I don't care how old she is. She got enough sense to know what the fuck, because it's nothing I didn't tell you myself before. So I remembered over on Halsey and Broadway is where she lives. I started to get on the J train. Now, mind you guys, if you guys know, I live in Brownsville over by Mother Gaston, so that's at least a good 20 minutes away. So I walked from Halsey and Broadway because I couldn't get on the train because I was scared he was going to push me off the tracks, being that when I went into the train station, he snatched the phone out of my hand, he threw it off, threw it out my hand, and then when I went into the train tracks, he came following me. He was like super aggressive and was like threatening me, so I came out the train station. So I ended up walking home that night, and what felt like it had to be a little bit more than an hour. It had to be more than an hour. That whole time, he's grabbing up my bag, he's grabbing me, he's pushing me, he's crying hysterically, he's calling people to come get us, and it was just so overwhelming. I had an anxiety attack in the street because I'm like, this nigga is either gonna kill me or kill himself.
Right.
Either way, I'm fucked up because I can't do anything, and like I don't want anybody's blood on my hand.
Right.
So this was a lot of the basis of the relationship where I kept feeling like either he's gonna hurt me or he's gonna hurt himself, and either way, it wasn't gonna end well. Right. So I felt trapped for a long time in that relationship. I felt very trapped, and as we know, abuse works. Once the physical abuse isn't working anymore, you turn to verbal abuse. So after the fighting stopped, it turned verbal now. So now he's saying things about my situation at the time, which I wasn't working. I had just stopped working maybe 2 weeks prior, and he went and got himself a car after driving my car out.
Right.
And I turned into all kind of bum bitches, and I turned into all kind of losers, and he's taking care of me, and this, that, and the third. And that was the moment, though, I didn't feel bad for him anymore.
Right.
Because it's like,
now you ungrateful bitch.
yeah, because it's like, okay, well, you clearly aren't the guy that seems broken anymore. You clearly have your shit together now, right? To where you can tell me I'm not shit. So
basically, he got everything that he needed from the situation.
Absolutely. Drained me,
and there was no use for you anymore.
Yeah, exactly. But I think more so too is because the physical abuse wasn't working anymore. It was like I have to break her verbally, because he was still hitting me with the, well, you got that, because also, guys, I was more or less engaged as well. I told him I didn't want to be married or engaged, so that's why we didn't. Drake, can you get the door, please? Sorry, my homegirl's calling me. I think she's downstairs. Yeah, sorry. We're coming now. Sorry. So that ring I was wearing was, that ring I was wearing was technically an engagement ring, but I had already explained to him I didn't want to be engaged because I felt like it was moving way too fast. Which somebody's coming right now. Yeah. Somebody's coming right now.
Someone's coming to get you right now.
Where are you?
Hello.
So that ring was technically an engagement ring or whatever the case is, but I told him I didn't want to be engaged, so it was played off as a promise ring. With that, he was using that as leverage, like, well, I'm here anyway, we're together, I'm not, all of this I'm doing is for you. Like, all of this I'm doing is for us. I'm building this for us. I'm trying to be, I'm trying to build this empire, quote unquote, for us. So this car that I bought for myself is for us. Like, he put me on his policy, and I didn't even know he put me on his insurance policy. Like, weird shit like that, just to have, like, that type of control over me. And I was falling for it, not for nothing. Like, I was falling for it, and I was very vulnerable to it. But like I said, once he started getting arrogant about it, it made me feel like, okay, well, I'm not here to save you anymore. Like, clearly, you're good. I don't feel like you're a broken bird anymore. I don't feel like I have to fix you, because the way you're talking to me right now, you don't sound broken. You know what I'm saying? You're not doing the whole hysterics anymore. So whatever your antic is right now is helping me be able to leave you more. So the day that I more or less left him, when he was calling me, he called me every type of broke bitch. He claimed to pay me to leave his house. He was like, I'll pay you to leave. Like, I'll give you money to leave. You gotta just get the fuck out of here. You're toxic. All the words I used to even use on him, like, he never even knew. All of a sudden now he's saying to me, I'm a narcissist and I'm toxic. I'm like, you didn't even know what these words were. You didn't even know the definition of these words until I started using them to you. So he started to call me all these names, and he was just like, yeah, you know, and I'll give you money to leave, and get me back on my shit. So I gave him back my phone, my iPad, my Apple Watch, the sneakers off my feet. I gave him back, and I walked out his house with socks on my feet, and I hopped in an Uber. And pretty much what happened is, once that actual breakup, he started to follow me. So, like, he was going through my Instagram messages. He was going through all my stuff. And he was, like, finding out where I would be, popping up on me, threatening to kill me, threatening to ruin my events, threatening to ruin me. And I remember, like, feeling paranoid and traumatized because everywhere I was going, honestly, he was pulling up. Like, he actually was there. So I remembered every black car I would see, I was like, what the fuck? Like, is that this nigga? Like, is that him? Like, you remember me at the event? I was like that was weird. You know what I'm saying? It was super, super traumatizing, honestly. And, like, it was to the point where I didn't even want men watching me. Like, I didn't even want dudes staring at me too hard because I'm like, what's he thinking in his head? Like, is he thinking, like, to harm me some way? Like, I really couldn't function for a few days. Like, I didn't feel like myself. Like, I didn't want to dress up. I didn't want to seem too attractive to anybody. I felt like I was prey walking down the streets after that. And it took me a little while to kind of get over it, because I was just kind of like, well, I can't help who I am. Like, you know, I can't help, I guess, my attraction, in the sense where it really didn't matter. Fucker, you know how it is. You walk around the street looking like a whole bum, and niggas is gonna, like, stare at you and watch you and things like that. So, so yeah. So the whole thing was more or less traumatizing in that way. I know you. This is got you up to speed, though. Pretty much, I would say, like, I was traumatized by the event. Like, I felt like I couldn't leave the house and be myself without feeling like he was gonna pop up, or somebody was gonna, like, try to hurt me in some way. So it was just very scary. And so a lot of people, after things hit the fan, were asking me questions like, well, are you going back? And I'm just like, did you not know what which a lot of people didn't know, I guess, what was going on. But I was getting annoyed with that, I'll be honest. Like, I was really getting annoyed with that, because I'm just like,
with the question,
because I was just kind of like, I get it, but in the same breath, you know, how much abuse do you feel like anyone should be wanting to take, you know? Or maybe it was that they didn't understand the level of it. I think people more so knew about, like, one fight that we had. A lot of people really didn't know about what was going on. So that's why I guess it was annoying me. But I didn't want to keep explaining the different situations that was going on. So I was like, you know, I'm just going to do it now one time so people can understand what actually happened. And so as of current, what he's done was use the iPad that I had and hacked into my Google account, changed the passwords to literally everything that I own. So my Instagram was hacked, my Cash App was hacked. So money that was being sent for what we do here, I don't know if it went to him. He hacked my TD Bank information. He hacked my so jobs I was getting as well, I couldn't speak back to them because he changed the information on that. So I was losing out on jobs, which made it an extra infliction where, like, I'm already not working, you know, so it's like now I'm really, really beating myself up about it. So, like, I couldn't even get to the job. And mind you, this guy was helping me build my resume, so I was like, that shit pissed me off. And it's like, who fuck wants to call a company and say, oh, my ex-boyfriend did X, Y, and Z? You know what? That shit is embarrassing. So I took that L. So that was a job opportunity lost, or at least two. that were lost. All of my information from my phone was cleared out. Shout outs to AT&T for that shit. Because I told them specifically not to hold the phone that I had that had all my content, had all of my information, had notes on projects I was working on. And they cleared everything. So he had already locked me out of my iTunes and my, was that Apple, the Apple
Music?
shit, the Apple Cloud, iCloud.
I don't know.
He locked me out of the iCloud, so I couldn't restore any of my information. I lost content for all the shows. I've lost a lot of my content. I lost all my pictures to Dubai and all my stuff. I lost everything. So like literally, it's been me starting from scratch, like legit from square one, and it's been frustrating to say the least. But the one thing that's kind of kept me going was something Pharrell said in one of LeBron's shows, The Shop. I don't know if you guys watch it, but LeBron was talking to one of the basketball players, and he was saying something about the best part about starting, I guess, from ground zero is that now you could do things the right way. And I had to look at it like that. Like now I could actually probably go for a job that I actually want to be in, and I could be in a relationship that I actually want to be in, and I could actually be around people that I actually want to be around, because a lot of stuff throughout that was lost. Friendships were kind of lost in that. I had to like go off on a few people. Like it was just a lot of shit that was going on within that time, and like it forced me to truly one, sit back and take a look at myself, like a good look at myself, and like what it is I want out of life, what I want to do, what I expect out of somebody. You know, I saw how broken I was in that relationship, and I'm just like, how did I even get to this point? Like, what the fuck got me here? Like, how did I get here? And so I had to really just do a lot of digging and searching and self-reflecting. And, you know, as far as part two to that, as some of you may know, but I'm not going to get into too many details about it, is that, you know, I did do an overdose because I was, like I said, I was going through heavy depression. So a lot of me just didn't even see an out, especially with what he was doing. So it wasn't that, oh, we broke up and that's what happened. It was that he taken everything from me in which I already was hanging on by a thread. So I was just like, well, what the fuck is the point? What's the point? So I did overdose. I was unconscious for 6 hours. And the doctors thought I was actually going to be brain dead. So I'm grateful to even be here today, and I'm grateful to even have my platform still. Shout out to you, Silva, for really holding it down. The whole team, actually, you guys came in every week and y'all still held it together for me, so I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful to have family that actually started to support me through this, because a lot of people just didn't know a lot of what was going on. We talk each week about certain things that we've all been through, and once you piece everything together, like, it made sense to the people that know, but the people that didn't know, I know it was a lot of confusion as to why I even did what I did. But it's not the answer. I'm not gonna sit here and act like suicide is the answer, but I felt trapped, and that's what a lot of people gotta understand. Like, I felt like there was no way out. There was no, and I've always dealt with depression, so this is not anything. This wasn't new feelings. This was just feelings now that were super amplified, and in that split second, there was no way out for me. So I, in essence, did what I felt like I had to do, which was just not deal with anything anymore, because, you know, I didn't feel like I had support at the time. And unfortunately, sometimes it takes, like, you know, if it takes a funeral where family can get together and say, like, oh, you know, why it takes this funeral for us to get together. But it's like, it unfortunately took something that traumatizing and tragic for a lot of my family to finally kind of get it and see me, I think, and see what was going on with me, or try to see. And so I'm grateful for everybody that actually came up to support it. All my friends, all you guys, like, honestly, like you said, like, y'all really came together on this. Like, y'all really came together, because people were reaching out, and shit, y'all niggas found his address faster than I did. But we're not gonna speak on that. But, you know, y'all, everyone, I had visitors that came to, because they had me in a psych ward, which it wasn't that bad. Girl, the food was bad, but But it wasn't that bad. I had a lot of rest. I had a lot of sleep. I didn't have to deal with the world. But I wouldn't go back. But I was there for a week, and I was forced to think and talk to a couple of people that were there. And it was so many people that had situations worse than me. You know, it was one girl with like a terminal illness, and she felt like, you know, she had no reason to be here, so she more or less had did the same thing. She OD'd, and I was just like, damn, like it's so many broken people out here, yo. And it's just like, but ultimately I just feel like if you happen to have made it through that, then you're here for a reason. You know what I'm saying? That was my thing walking away from it. I'm like, yo, I done tried everything, and I'm here. I'm still here, so I have to look at the bigger picture now moving forward. And like I said, what Pharrell was saying, as far as like being able to start from ground zero, who the hell had the number to call?
Well, all right, so there's actually some people on the live who want to share their story because they have similar incidents. This guy named Black.
Okay.
Yeah, he said he was abused by his high school sweetheart, and yeah, he's a guy, so he wanted to talk his shit.
And I'm glad he said that, because there's a lot of guys also that get abused and like verbally abused and things like that, and like we laugh about it, but the shit is not funny. It's abuse is abuse, period.
Also, Scarlett has said sometimes you have to reach rock bottom, and then there's nowhere else to go but up, which is a fact. But I did want to touch on what you said earlier when I kind of woke back in. Hi guys, I'm back. And talking about outside people looking in on your situation. As somebody who's been in toxic situations, and I've had incidents of domestics, and I've been in domestic situations pretty much all my life, if you include like my parents and just the people around me or whatever case may be. And what it is, it's not that the question of are you going back, it's not something for y'all to feel a way about. It is reality though, because in the first time that everything happened with your situation that I was involved in, I could have said, are you going back in that moment? But me being me and knowing how domestic violence situations happen, I even was real with you, and I said, niggas, the first time almost everybody goes back. Yep. Almost everybody. That's just the reality of it. So I wouldn't take offense to anybody out there if y'all are in the situations and you do happen to break away from the person that you're with, and then you get a question of, oh, okay, are you going back? It's just something for you to think about. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, think of it as like a sign. You know what I'm saying? It's a sign that, yo, this is something that I should be consciously thinking about, because in the back of your head, you're already giving him excuses. As you said, you're already giving him excuses. You start blaming yourself. You start saying, hell, well, I learned more with him than without him, or, you know, he helped me financially versus the way I was struggling before. And there's always going to be something, it don't take the smallest thing. After all of the fuckery, after all the things that got damaged, after all of the people that got hurt, after all of the people that you lose, it could be the smallest thing, because you guys are connected at that point. When you have sex with somebody, you're exchanging your energy. When you especially when you're moving with somebody and you kind of make them your world in your life, that's all you see for that time being. That's all you know. And especially because when you're in a relationship with somebody, that's the most consistent thing in your life at the moment.
Right. And it's
your new norm.
Right. That's what I would say was definitely at the time what was keeping me there, because that was the only thing that was consistent for me, especially when I stopped working. It was just like, this is who I know, this is who I go home to at the end of the night, like,
as opposed to burdening other people. Yeah, because that's how we feel as women.
Like, I didn't want to burden my mom anymore with my financial shit. I didn't want to burden anybody else. So it was like, if he was more than willing to take on that burden, then why not? And so it was like that, like you said, that became my consistency, and that became my new norm. And I was just like, all right, I'll deal with the bullshit. Like, I'll deal with it. And I was,
because you get used to it at some point. It's like, all right,
and I became just as toxic, and it started to become our normal. But then at the same time, I didn't like what I was seeing in myself. I'm like, I'm not even like, I'm a fighter, granted, but I don't just be like, I don't wow like that. Like, so if I'm sitting here getting to that point, then I clearly have to break away. But And as women, you gotta pay attention to the signs, because it's funny that you were saying that as far as the sex and things. Like, yo, my body, everything about me was rejecting this man, bro. Like, it was to points where, like, I would flinch if he touched me sometimes. Like, and we wouldn't even have to be going through
And that's
nothing.
called PTSD.
Yeah, but
and
it was
people
like,
don't realize it.
I didn't even want him touching me 90% of the time. And that time I felt like I was just having sex just because we're here.
It's
like,
routine.
It's like, that's my duty as a girlfriend. And it was like, I didn't even want to be intimate with him. You get what I'm saying? Like, I felt like a log just laying there most of the time. And
you
like,
felt violated. You felt wrong.
I felt wrong.
It
It literally took me back sometimes to my rape. And that was scary.
Exactly.
That was scary for me, because I shouldn't feel that way. I should feel safe with you. And I didn't feel safe with him anymore. So even to that, it's like, we had the discussion as far as it running this course, because I knew it was going to come to an end. I just didn't honestly know when.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to come to an end, though. So, like, that's why for me, I guess I was frustrated by the question, because it was like, I already knew. I was wrapping it up in my head. I was wrapping it up. It just took me, I just had to reach to the point where I felt like it was the guilt that was keeping me there. Because like I said, he kept threatening to kill himself and things like that. So I felt like I had to walk away when I felt safe enough to walk away. And unfortunately, it took me going down for it, but it was almost like I'd rather it had me going down for it than living with more of a depressed state of knowing, like, yo, this nigga dad killed himself on my watch. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't live with that. As much as I didn't want to be with him, it's like I couldn't live with that. So it was like it was almost like me looking for the safety net first before I could leave him completely.
But then, to me, that's also, I wanted to say that that's like that's what we do as women, and we feel like, all right, cool. Even in this moment, I still want to take on your drama, your trauma, your stress, and everything that you're going on. I still want to carry the weight for you, because that's what we as women do. We suffer in silence. We take on certain roles that not anybody else would take on. We do certain things, and we go above and beyond for our men, for our kids, for even society at this point. And we're just left to pick up the pieces. And that's one thing that people have to remember, is themselves. And that's what you forget in that moment. You forget yourself, and you forget that you are your own being. You breathe and your heart beats by itself. You don't need somebody to help you thump. You know what I'm saying? You don't need somebody to help you walk. At the end of the day, you came in this world by yourself. You will leave by this world in this world by yourself. And at any point in time, you can get your shit together. Not one person, not one thing is gonna change your mentality, because that's where it starts. It starts in your mental, in your brain, where you make the conscious decision that you're gonna do this differently, and you're gonna move differently, and you're gonna walk away from the situation. That all, it starts in your brain, and then your feet follow.
Yeah, honestly. And that's why, I was saying, like, it just, I knew where it was getting at, and I knew eventually I was gonna leave. And the day I left, I couldn't be happier. Like I was telling him earlier, like, I left with the socks on my feet, and I hopped my ass in the Uber, because everything he owned I gave back, and I was just so ready to just be out. And I was just like, all right.
Somebody else on the live said she had a dude threaten to kill himself, and he said he was going to do it and blame it on her. She was scared and didn't want him to touch her or sharing her energy. Then he started calling her nonstop, stalking. She changed her number and blocked 8 different accounts, and he was still finding her. And it's crazy.
That sounds like me.
Yeah.
and like my situation.
The thing is, unfortunately, it's more common than we think. And the fact that people do suffer in silence, and they try to hide it from their loved ones and their family and their friends and everything like that, and I feel like, on one hand, even y'all doing that is still you're not trying to burden the people around you,
and then trying to protect
with
that
your
person
shit.
too, honestly.
And then trying to protect the person because we already know how the system is.
Yes, and not only that, you might know how your family might react. You might know how your loved ones is gonna react, your friends and things like that. So you still almost try to protect them.
But then, and the worst part of it is, it's because 9 times out of 10 you plan on going back. So you don't want to create this narrative of the person.
I know that was me
because
in the beginning.
Yeah,
that
you
was
still gonna fuck with them, and everybody's gonna have this aura.
Opinion, yep.
And then when they see you, it's gonna be like, oh,
oh, he's still here,
right?
That was definitely what I was going through in the beginning. So I didn't even, and that's how I knew I was done when I told my mother. I'm like, if he comes to this house,
right,
do not let him in,
right.
And I told my stepdad, so I was like, if he comes to this house, do not let him in. That's how I knew I was done. And I was like, just don't even. At that point, though, I was on some like, don't even ask me no questions. Just he's not allowed here. It's over, and that's that. But before that, I wasn't telling nobody. He was able to come to my house and pop up the way he used to because I wasn't telling them.
Yeah.
So he would come and almost create, and then for me to not want to create a scene in my house, now I'm going with you.
Right.
Because I don't want it in my house. So now,
right.
Now again, it's still you got me wrapped up in your shit because I don't want to be creating no shit in my own house.
Right.
You know, my mom is here. I don't even know what the fuck you're capable of at this point. So out of fear alone, I'm like,
was there some disappointment in there too? Because I feel like your family puts a lot of pressure on you, especially as a woman, and especially if you're the only girl or whatever case may be. When it comes to marriage and just having your shit together, they expect you to have it together, even though they didn't necessarily show you out. So sometimes you feel like if you bring this drama to them, it's like, all right, now you just about to be back in here eating up my shit and laying on my couch and doing this and oh, you can't keep a man or whatever case may be, whatever it is that goes through your head. Do you feel like there was some disappointment?
So that's how I felt. I don't think they displayed that. They actually didn't display that. But I internalized that, which is why I ended up ODing, because I felt like I'm back at square one. Like, here goes Naledi the fuck up.
Right.
And it was like, I can't keep doing this shit. Like, I can't keep doing this shit. And then now at this point, it wasn't even in the hands of me. It was in the hands of somebody else. So I was just like, I can't, fuck it. Like, who cares anymore? Like, and so I internalized that feeling. Although my mother at the time actually was helping me try to get through the situation. She actually didn't. When he called the cops on me, all right, so I bust his car up. That was like my one little revenge or whatever the case is. But because of that, now my mom got super involved because he was calling her to pay for the car and all this shit. But she didn't have to because he put me on his car policy like a dumbass. I didn't even know about this shit. So, you know, technically, had he said it was me, he wouldn't get any money for it or whatever. But I low-key just confessed.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day,
it's over.
At the end of the
He
day,
ain't get no coins from me. So
you speaking your truth. Don't feel like you ain't owe anybody else anything in this situation.
No,
this
I'm
is
saying
your time
like
to speak
because now
your truth.
you know I might. It's kind of it's a legal situation at this point. That's why. But whatever though, it is what it is. But yeah, now I felt like now she's carrying the burden of paying back this nigga's car. You know, so here again we are at square one. I don't have any money. I don't have anything, and so I felt the disappointment. She never expressed that to me, and I don't even think she felt that way because she was actually relating to me, because she's been through her own shit. So no one was actually doing that, but I internalized it that way, and I was just like, yo. And I felt like I wasn't shit, especially with him telling me that just 2 days before. I felt like that, and so I was like super broken, yo. And so it just was a lot at once. It was a lot at once. So even to clearing up the whole ODing thing, it wasn't just him per se, because that was another thing. I had a lot of friends saying like, well, why didn't you tell me what was going on with him, and how could he drive you to do this? And it was just like, it wasn't him, it was me having dealt with all of this on top of my prior rape situation, on top of, so like I was saying earlier, I felt like prey walking down the street. I felt like prey. I felt like a piece of meat. Like I felt like a target. Honestly, I felt like, yo, people that are around me just want to take from me, and they want to like somehow, somewhere, somebody wants to hurt me. And so I just was like, oh no, I'm good. Yeah. I'm good on being here with all that. So I ended up ODing. And like I said, it took something tragic like that though for my family to reassure me that they were there to support me. Yeah. And I think within that moment, I was like, okay, for one, I'm not alone. And that was my biggest thing. I felt very alone for a while, and as much as I joked with you guys and things like that, I felt mad alone, yo. And so I was like, I didn't want to deal with this shit anymore. And a lot of people didn't even know I was dealing with depression for as long as I did. I've been dealing with depression since I was like 15. So for me, like, this wasn't a new thought that crossed my head. It wasn't a new thought at all. It was something I've been feeling for a while. And this was the first time I actually actually wasn't even the first time I attempted. The first time I attempted anything like this, I was in Pennsylvania and I was by myself. So it wasn't even the first time I attempted anything like this, but it was the first time I got that far. So I didn't know the story of what was going on in the hospital. My mom ended up telling me how I was out for 6 hours, and like I explained earlier. So once I heard back the story, I felt how traumatized everybody else had felt in that moment, because it was very unsure I was gonna honestly leave that hospital. It was very unsure, like, and then like I said earlier, they thought I was gonna be brain dead also. So it was, my whole life was uncertain at that point. And it's like I ended up walking away feeling like I'm here for a reason. Like I said, like, I'm here for a reason, like, because easily I could have been gone, son, easily. But more than that, I wouldn't want any woman to feel like someone else has so much control over them that they lose control. Because that was my situation. Like, I literally lost control of who I was. I lost control of my own life. And so I spun out of control. So I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't wish that on any woman. I feel like, when we say things like, yo, as a woman, you should have your own money and things like that, and dudes getting an uproar, like, this is why. And it's like, he could be as sweet as he want to be, but like Silva even says on the show a lot of times that's a form of control. Him wanting to, not to say him wanting to pay for everything, but him wanting to be entitled to everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wanted me to sign my car over to him so he can help me pay it. Like, I wasn't doing that. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, it's just little things. You know what I'm saying? Where, like, why do you need me on your account? Why do you need this? And like, that whole going through your phone shit, that shit ain't cute, bro. Like, that shit is not cute. There's nothing that's cute about someone wanting to know every detail of your whereabouts. And it was a lot of signs that were there. And it's like, as a woman, you feel it, and and I think sometimes you kind of think, oh, this is him being concerned and he loves me, but so that shit is not. It's the beginning. It's usually the beginning of some bullshit. And it's like, you always, as a woman, need to protect yourself and have your space, for one, have your own shit going on. And if you're not ready for that, don't be in a relationship because you don't want to by default. Because that was me. That was by default. I ended up falling into his control because I became dependent on him, and I'm never a dependent person. So like that was all new to me, and I became dependent on him, and it was just all by default because it was like, oh, snuck in. Oh, I can help you get this. So, don't worry about this. I got you. And it's just like, oh shit, you paying for my car note? Like, all right, this month. Oh, next month. All right, and that's what made and God know what he doing, son. Oh my God knows what he doing, because he wanted to actually move in with me, and we started to look for an apartment in Jersey, and I could only imagine how shit would have been going, because the thing about it is, if a nigga want to take you out of your environment and take you somewhere far, now it's like he wants you to be able to do what he want to do to you, away from your security system. You know what I'm saying? And it was one apartment that I was like, all right, if we get this apartment, then cool. And that shit like sold like the next day, or something weird happened. And I was like, it's not meant to. And I was so glad that we didn't, because imagine I would have been far away. Like, I probably honestly would have been dead, honestly, the way he was carrying on. So I'm just glad, things didn't work out like that. But the signs are there. Like I said, my body rejected him. I was thinking about my ex the whole time. It was just so many things where I knew I was not happy. I knew I like, not every relationship might feel like butterflies constantly, but I just didn't feel anything after a while. And I was just like, this is not where I see myself in 5 years. Like, if
this is not what you want.
Yeah, it's not what I want. If in a year and a half all of this is going on, and you know, it sucks for women that after the third year shit like this happens, because you really are invested
after
by that
marriage.
time, after marriage and things like that. It's hard as fuck to walk away, yo, but you really, really, really have to, because your life truly could be at stake if you don't understand either your own mental state or his at that. Yo, truly. And like, this is why you listen to these people's stories. Like, he had stories of prior abuse. He had stories of him either abusing somebody else or him having been abused. And I just took note, but for some people they ignore it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's the signs are there. It's there. It's written there. Even before the, like you said, marriage and things like that. Like, it's there. The signs are there. That's why you got to talk to your partner and figure out who the fuck they are. Because you never know, son. You don't know who the fuck you dating. You don't know who you dating. So,
yeah. But it's a lot of people. I don't know if the guy is still on the live, but I mean, I feel like I would like to hear your story. So, Black, I feel like when you ready, call in, because I would like to hear from a male's point of view. And Sheila said he's narcissistic.
Yeah,
that's
he's very narcissistic, actually. That's
something I actually was talking to somebody about yesterday. Because narcissism, I feel like, not even yesterday, it was like between yesterday and today, I was saying narcissism is definitely a part of mental illness. That's a mental illness. That's a fact. It is, because depression wraps into that, insecurity wraps into that, sometimes being suicidal wraps into that, all of that, because you feel like you need to talk about yourself all the time. You need to keep reaffirming certain things and trying to seek validation for certain things through your narcissism. But at the end of the day, if you understood that you are complete and you are whole and you are here for a purpose, you wouldn't need to have to keep validating yourself. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like all of that wraps into each other. So I do feel like he was a narcissist.
Yeah, no, because there was so many
he
times
had to
where
keep
he would
with every time that he's doing something for you, that's him doing something for himself.
Yes, and I used to tell him that. I'm like, yo, your financial way of loving me is not enough,
right?
Because if we wake up tomorrow and I don't need your money, then what?
Right.
What do you have to offer me? And he used to say, like, I know how to provide. And as a man, I understand that, but this is why I tell men, like, you have to figure out other ways to love somebody, because that's not it.
You got to figure out their love language.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own love language.
But even still, being a provider is not always that a man is.
Right.
And I think when men get wrapped up on the fact that they think that being a provider is like the be all end all, you lose how to be compassionate. You lose how to have communication, because you think everything is just about throwing money at this person, and it's not. And so it's like, and then you lose control if you don't have money. When he wasn't working, that's honestly when we were fighting the most, because he didn't have anything to show me.
Right.
And he felt incomplete, like you've been saying. Like, he felt incomplete. So, you know how many times I ended up having to pray for this boy, because he just was like a mess. And so the narcissism, though, I knew he was narcissistic, because it was so many things I would tell him, like calling him a narcissist and telling him, like, yo, you're toxic and you should seek therapy about this and things like that. And as soon as I did anything, he flipped the shit right back on me. Words that he never even knew, like, he's telling me about me. Like, he's just like, oh, you're toxic. Like, that same last day, you're toxic. And it was just like, really?
Narcissists love pointing out what you're doing, and they're never wrong about nothing. That's what it is.
He was never wrong. Oh my God, he never wanted to. He took onus when he felt like it, and even in him taking onus, it was still like
to keep.
But
you.
That's because you da 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 da. If you didn't, like, and that's another thing, he made excuses for a lot of the fights. It was like, well, I told you da da da, and you know, if you didn't do this, but Naledi,
then I wouldn't have done this.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, when you're vulnerable, you start to really blame yourself again. You start to think about things in their perspective when you know. And it got to the point where the bitch, I know I'm not wrong right now. I know I'm not tripping.
That's
like,
him chipping away at you.
Yeah, and it got to a point I had to really be like, no, I know I'm not bugging right now. What I've seen with my own two eyes, like, one thing for sure, certain things have never deceived me. My intuition is one of them. So it's like, I'm not going to begin to ignore it now because you're telling me otherwise. And when I see for my own two eyes, you're fucking toxic. Like, yeah. So I had to really, really dig deep, like I said, and just really like, nah, I'm not bugging, bro. I'm standing firm to this. And that, I think, triggered him into...
Because that means that you're losing his control.
And that's where the
he's
verbal...
losing his grasp.
Yes, and that's where now that verbal abuse came in, and I became all kinds of bitches, and da-da-da-da-da, and I was just like, okay, take your stuff, and I'll leave. Right. You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of y'all got... Same with my children, father Caribbean background. They feel financial is everything, and it's not that financial hold. That's not it. That's not the end all be all.
I feel like, and then I joke a lot of time, but in me joking most of the time, there's always truth in it. And when I say I will never, like, and it's not to say that it's. Everybody's situation is different. Mm-hmm. Everything is gonna look different to different people, but the story is kind of the same. You know what I'm saying? So when I personally say that I wouldn't have nobody put me on their phone bill, I know why I'm saying that. It might be something different for you, where you could say, okay, well, I wouldn't move in with somebody at this point in time, or I wouldn't do this, or I wouldn't do that. You got to understand what it looks like for you in your life. But for me, why I say I wouldn't have nobody on my phone bill is because I don't need you controlling when my phone is on, when my phone is off. You know what I'm saying? If I need something now, I got to ask you for it. Like, you know what I'm saying? To me, that's just me personally. I can't do. Mm-hmm. If I feel like I can't walk outside right now and be good without you, then I'm just not gonna walk outside. Right? Like, I'm gonna stay inside and make sure that I'm good. And it's not to say I've never been toxic. Like, I came on here and said I was very toxic. Mm-hmm. in the last couple of relationships I was, mainly the last one I was in, I was very toxic, and I felt myself becoming the aggressor at the end of the day, because now I felt like in certain arguments or certain situations, I felt like you're trying to establish dominance over me. Yes. And now but it's also my trauma talking and shit like that. Damn, Rico. It's also my trauma talking in the sense of, now I feel like I need to prove to you that I'm not pussy and you're not going to take advantage of me.
And that was the point I got with him. I felt like now I had to assert myself a certain type of way. So I started to...
Hello?
So I started to fight. I started to fight first. It's on. Somebody's on. Hello? No? Okay. All right. That's fine. But I started to like fight him first, and a lot of times, and I got really abusive, and that was because I felt like I had to redeem myself from like the first couple fights. And to go on what you said as far as what it looks like, I remember we had a conversation a while back on one of our shows about what abuse and certain things look like, and if you never knew what it looks like, you're gonna end up missing the red flag. So like I said, being that this is my first situation like this, I didn't know what the shit looked like. So the controlling factor, I'm thinking that's just him being nice and him being a genuine and a good guy. And like now I'm at the point, honestly, my perspective on relationships is like, I don't even want a motherfucker liking me too much.
Bitch, you hear me every motherfucking time we on here. I'm like, don't like me, don't want me, I don't want no smoke with none of y'all niggas. You feel me?
I be like, yo, like I have an ex that really he knew. I had an ex that was like flattered by me, but just never did too much. And like that's the one person I keep thinking about now. But I'm like, I want that type of relationship because I don't want anyone obsessed with me. And it's like, it's sad to say, but it's like I don't want anybody that's too into me, because I feel like you just want to have me as this trinket. And I can't do that again, because it's like I seen what the fuck that looks like. So
but it's like, not to say that you don't want nobody to love you. It's the way you need somebody to love you the way you need to be loved.
Yeah, but not be obsessed with me and watch me as if I'm this shiny thing and not understand me, because I come with a lot. I come with a lot of burden. I come with a lot of. I'm really like a diamond in the rough.
You're
so
a
it's
person.
like,
You're a human being
Mm-hmm.
with bodily functions, with fucking, you know what I'm saying, with your own ideals, your own thoughts, period. Like, that's really what it come down to. And when people see you, they like the idea of you. And then when you don't turn out the way they want you to turn out, they have to now create another narrative.
Yes.
And that's when they become controlling and shit like that. In some cases, not all.
And I know for a fact that's a lot of what that was with us because.
Hello? What?
Did I pick up?
Yeah, pick up.
Yeah. I know a lot of you guys are calling in.
Yeah, because I do want to hear your story.
I'll leave the
especially
number
hello?
here too. Oh shit!
Somebody just answered. Go to the other line.
I'm gonna leave the number here too, guys. So
yeah, so if you have some stories, even if you have some advice for the people that's listening, tuning in, call back in. The number is 917-524.
Yeah, for this.
Yeah, 2024.
All right, so for this last hour, I left the number down so you guys could
call in
and share some of your responses. I see a lot of you guys tuned in. Then I appreciate that. Like I spent my whole last couple weeks crying. I ain't crying no more. Okay, I ain't crying no more. But
hey, caller.
Yo, sorry guys, me and Courtney. I've been trying to watch and call.
Hey, Courtney.
Hey, what's going on, ladies?
Hey, love.
First and foremost, I want to say thank God that you're okay, lady. I reached out to you, so you know love is love.
Yeah.
I do want to speak on this a little bit because I've been trying to watch and then call in. So if I missed anything, sorry for my ignorance. But one thing I do want to say was, I like what you guys talk about, like red flags.
Yeah.
And things being seen in itself. One of the things that you said in the beginning of this podcast was that his mother was abusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in retrospect, a lot of times with me as a man, you're not getting that love at home. And when you're out in the world trying to give it back, you don't know how.
Yes.
And that's to defend him.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he can't love you because he doesn't know what love is.
No,
right.
absolutely.
Especially because it came from his mother.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So like, and part that, like all that leads to is destruction.
Yes.
His hurt, his way of loving you is but all those red flags.
Right.
By the hearing, by the verbal abuse, by the whatever he was doing by the money. You know what I mean?
Yes.
In retrospect, sometimes that looks good.
Yeah.
It looks like love, even though it's destruction. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But we don't see it until it all turns bad.
Right.
You know? So I did want to come on here real quick and just say that because I love y'all. Number one. Number
Thank
two,
you.
I get it off my chest while I was there.
Yeah, we love you too.
That things like that happen, and I'm happy you were able to catch it.
Yeah.
And you weren't stuck in it for years. You know what I mean? A lot of times, so many women that I know that have been stuck in it for years and years and years, and can't even talk about it, can't even get their healing because they refuse to kind of
acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that was the scariest part for me. I didn't want to be. I didn't want that to be my next even 3 years. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I didn't want it, but like you said about the red flags, like that's absolutely. His mother warned me about him. But even to what you're saying, it was just like I just kept feeling it's the female, it's the woman thing in us where we feel like I see the issue, and that's why I say our demons would dance because I see it. I've seen a lot of that hurt in me, even through situations I've been in, and so I kept feeling like I can save him. Let me suggest therapy to you. Right. Let me suggest this to you. Let me teach you how to love then. And that wasn't. It's like to me that after the first attempt, if you didn't go ahead and do what you were supposed to do, that's it.
Sometimes we feel like, let me just love them harder.
Yes.
Let me make up for all of the love that they didn't get from other people. Let me be the person that he runs to. You know what I'm saying? And that he vents to. And he'll
even
come
to
me
that
with
becomes
all
toxic
of his
now
problems
because.
Right.
You're all that they have to rely on now.
So now
when
you
ready to leave,
bag.
yes. So when you're ready to leave, now it's I'm gonna kill myself. I don't know anything else, and you become the punching bag, like you said.
Right, because sometimes the root of the problem is to find that healing in where you left it. You understand what I'm saying? So sometimes, like what you were saying with his mom being abusive and all that, and him becoming abusive, he needs to bridge that gap back in order to kind of continue with anything. You can't love somebody else when deep down inside, that little kid inside of you is still hurt.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So right now, you're a kid in a grown man's body
Absolutely.
playing kid games, with an adult who's trying to pursue something and do something and beat somebody. You can't beat nobody when you're really 9 years old in a 30 years old body.
Yep. And I need a lot of men to really start to acknowledge their own traumas. I think a lot of men, like, and this is why we talk about black men and mental health, because there is a lot of trauma in the black community, especially with black men, and it manifests somehow.
And it's crazy to me because I feel like sometimes you're stuck at that age that the trauma happened to you.
Yeah.
And you don't progress from then.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't even realize within themselves. Because I personally didn't realize that shit neither.
I didn't.
Until I was left with myself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I agree with you. Thank you so much, Courtney, for calling in.
No, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Please check out Courtney's Corner on everything.
I agree with
love y'all.
100%. Because that's really, I feel like before you get into anything, friendship, relationship, anything, you have to first acknowledge who you are as a person and where you are in that point in your life.
Yeah.
So I feel like you have to really be honest with yourself before you put yourself into any situation, friendship, relationship, even when you want to start something of your own business. Because
before you give yourself
because then your intention changes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
When you come into a situation broken and misled or whatever with no idea that you're a walking toxic waste or whatever the case may be, everything you touch becomes toxic.
Yeah.
And this is not to say that, you know what I'm saying, like, oh, you know, you guys are fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do believe in rehabilitation, but I just need people to not. Yeah. You have to put the work in, and other people can't feel like they are more into your situation than you are.
Yeah.
Because that happens a lot of times with friends and with family members or whatever. When they do know the situation, they start giving a fuck about your situation more than you do. And then that creates a rift between you and that person. Yep. And that, to me...
No, I'm like, what?
I understand.
No, that's the truth, though. That's the truth.
I've been on, like, listen to everything. Like, I've been on both sides. Like, I was on that side, and just to listen to everything, to think about, like, in general, I'm that guy that, you know, it's not that, oh, I want to be on top or anything, but I'm the type, like, I want to provide for my woman. I want to be there for my woman. So it's not like, oh, I want to control. I want to control. But when you think about, like, you know, down the line, it's like, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, it's something.
Because what would she have?
Exactly. So it's like, it's
to help her build.
Yeah. And I'm listening, and I'm happy you've gotten through this. You know, because it's not easy.
Yeah.
So what was I saying? But it's like, at the end of the day, it comes down to you.
Yeah.
Because what is it? 2019,
right.
2014. Where was I? Exactly.
Yeah,
so seeing both parts.
Yeah, matter of fact, where were you? Do you mind sharing your story?
So where I'm at now,
no, where were you? 2014.
Between 2014 and 2016, I was finding myself, but at the same time, I was looking for something in someone else. So I was thinking that, oh, whatever I was missing, I was gonna find it in someone else, and everything was like, nah.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I thought, and I didn't know how to express my emotions and control what I was feeling. So any little thing, I would lash out. Everything I was on 100 every time.
Right,
because you didn't have control. You didn't have control. So things that as soon as something went wrong, you lash out because you don't you feel like you don't have control over your situation.
Because you got to think about it like a kid, right? Where you don't get the toy that you want.
Yeah.
And oh shit, sorry guys.
No, you good.
When you don't get the toy that you want, right? And you just like, oh my god, da, da, da. So when somebody comes into your life and you kind of put them on a pedestal in that way, it's like, all right, this person about to come in and fill in all of my voids, all of my gaps. And then they, like I was saying earlier, and then they don't fulfill that. Then it's like, why aren't you doing what I want you to do? Why are you not doing what I want you to do?
That was literally him. And I saw it clear as day. And I'm like, you cannot control everything, and it's because you don't have control. And he knew it. You knew it, but he wasn't ready to put in the work.
Yeah.
He wasn't ready to put in the work, and that's just really what it all boiled down to. He was not. He thought he was, and he gassed me to think he was, but he was not ready to put in the work.
No, that wasn't what it was. It was, all right, I'm gonna do this if you stay. You know
and I said that to him, and I remember saying to him, I'm like, you're like that kid in the class. I said, you're only as good as when I see you. Like, when I'm not looking, you act a fucking fool. And the minute you don't get your way, you act a fool. I said, but when I'm here, that's the only time you want to act right. I said, we can't do that. We can't do that. You have to be, you can't just be a teacher's pet. Like, you have to be good to yourself. And I told him, stop working for me. Stop trying to be good for me. And it was weird because I realized a lot of me, what I would tell him is a lot of it was me talking to myself too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I would be like, you can't do this for me. You have to do this for yourself. And like, I realized that's when I start to kind of break away too, and I start to do things for myself and get back to doing things for myself. And that's why I say everything happens for a reason, because now I'm forced to be back at ground zero and do things for myself. We got another caller.
What's going on, caller?
Huh?
You on the air. Caller.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Okay. Guys, when you call,
turn down the live. Turn down the live when you call in. Whoever just called in, call back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like at the end of the day, that's 1,000% fact, because at the end of the day, you have to be whole within yourself before you can be.
And we speak about that a lot, and I think people, not everyone understands what I know. I understand.
You're gonna understand that at the point where you need it to hit.
Yeah.
That's why when you go into church or whatever and you feel like the pastor's talking right to you, because that was what you needed to hear at that moment.
Yeah.
You was in the state that you were vulnerable enough to receive it.
Yeah.
Caller, how you doing?
How you doing?
Hey,
who's calling?
I'm Casper.
Casper?
Same thing on my gram. Yeah, I commented on your live right now. I've been watching.
Which live? Who live?
So what you wanted to say?
I'm about to do it again.
All right. So what's up though? What you called in to say?
I was listening to the story earlier. I don't know the other girl that was talking, her name, but yeah, I was just listening to a story about her boyfriend and her ex. I mean, that was going through what she went through.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, niggas are definitely terrible. And just like y'all saying, like, when you see the signs from the beginning, you know, fucking duck, run for cover, you know, get out as fast as you can. In my situation, I feel like my ex, she was kind of abusing the fact that I was so loving, or I would follow what she was doing, or, you know, I wasn't taking that much control. But I feel like she abused that, and then, you know, she went Casper actually, so.
Okay, so you feel like in that situation, you were kind of like a puppet?
A puppet that seen the signs and still didn't cut my strings.
Okay.
And then she had to leave you for you to even get out the situation.
Wait, say that again?
She's the one who had to leave you for you to get out of that situation?
Yeah, it was like that. It became critical where I was telling her I already seen what was going on, the patterns, and I'm like, you know what? If you choosing something else, you might as well just do that. Don't just leave me hanging.
Yeah.
And she actually just left me hanging, which is, I was going through therapy for that and all. I didn't think I'd have to call a therapist at one point, but, you know, I reached out, blah, 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 and, like, took that route. So, it was kind of dramatic for me.
Well, I congratulate you for taking that, because that's, first off, that's, it's courageous to do. So, and
kudos
it's courageous
to
to admit also even more. So, definitely congratulations to that, because it's not easy. And, you know, I definitely commend you for that.
And thank you for calling in and sharing your story. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Right, and stay tuned on the live.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to say real quick to that aspect, I feel like when it becomes, it's not fun anymore. Huh?
I was like, let me see what you were saying, what I was going to say.
Oh, no, but like, it's oftentimes where some people don't have the strength to leave, and the person ends up leaving them because it's not fun for them anymore. Because I told you that.
Because I was going to say, sometimes it takes that person wanting to leave. Because that's technically what happened. He broke up with me low key. But because I knew the pattern, I knew he would come back. But I was like, nope.
Or were you hoping he would come back?
No, I knew he would come back. But I was like, You broke up with me now. I don't have to pretend anymore. Like, I felt good from the time I walked out that house. I was like, bitch, it's over. I was calling my friends. I was like, girl, this nigga broke up with me. Yes. Like, I was good. So him stalking me later on that day and following me to my next event and threatening to kill me and all these things, that's what had me pissed, because I'm like, you broke up with me, for one. Two, we done been down this road too many times to assume at this point that I'm really gonna sit here. Like, you must think I'm that dumb. Like, that's how it was. More of like, I felt insulted. Like, I felt like you were insulting my intelligence or whatnot, because you now you think that after the abuse that you just, and after the things you just said and all these things, that I'm really gonna say here and same night at that oh, it's okay.
Because he thought he had you figured out. Yeah.
Yes, that was the pattern.
And that's still his way of controlling.
Yes,
somebody who breaks up with you all the time for like the smallest thing and leaves, because that was one thing I used to do. At the drop of a dime, oh, you sneeze? Oh, I'm out. I'm leaving. I'm walking out. That's another way of kind of controlling the situation.
Yeah.
And to me, it wasn't even me trying to control the person at the time. It was more so with me just not like trying to deal with the shit, you know what I'm saying, and me trying to get out. But if you're in a situation where the person feels like, okay, they can break up with you and then come back whenever they want, that means they really fully feel like they have you figured out and they have their control over you. So, all right, cool, I don't want to play with you right now, but when I'm good and ready to play with you, you're going to be right there, and you better.
And that was the yo-yo effect that I used to say. I was like, you think I'm like your yo-yo, like you can do this and then come crying and like I'm gonna just be back at it. And it was just like, no. And you showed me a different face of yours, and that was the face I needed to see.
Your real face.
Yeah, I needed to see that face to give me the courage to, once you said it was over, I was completely with the shits. I was just like, okay, good.
Yeah, I had a situation kind of like that where somebody did some violent shit, nigga cheated on me and all of that, and then not even like, I felt like the nigga was cheating, right?
Yeah.
And then I started moving differently or whatever. Then the person, they felt like, all right, well, I kind of, you know what I'm saying, I don't really feel like stuttering, being around the bush or whatever. And then I essentially just ended up breaking up with me, and that was it for me. And people just like, oh my god, you don't feel no type of way, like you good? Like, I'm just like, my nigga, I'm dead ass good. I'm good, because I didn't have the strength to break up with him, even though I started seeing signs of the person just being wild toxic and misusing, like the caller said, misusing the person I am, and the fact that I'm so loving and I'm so willing to be the person that you need me to be. You're kind of just like, all right, well,
I could do whatever,
and I'll just get back and you'll be right there. And that's not the case. But again, I wasn't strong enough to break up with the person at the time, because I had never really broken up with anybody at that point. And knowing people's history too, and I ask people when in relationships or even in friendly conversations, like, what have you been through? Like, what was your last relationship like, or what are your relationships? Because even the relationships you have with your friends and your family kind of it's a telltale sign, a telltale sign, or whatever case may be. So in previous situations, why I didn't have the strength to break up with the person is because the last person I broke up with ended up stalking me. You know what I'm saying? Kind of the same type of situation. The nigga ended up stalking me, coming into my crib in the middle of the night when I'm sleeping or whatever, and just doing wild dumb shit or whatever case may be. Granted, I had my brother was there at that point in time, and he kind of like scooted the nigga out the door. But in that situation, we could have ended up like really
somebody
fighting.
Could have got hurt. For real,
we could have ended up really swinging on each other, and he was a big dude, 6 foot something, athletic built or whatever case may be, and he just started running in the streets telling everybody he was gonna kill himself. And I said, listen, beloved, it is what it is. And that wasn't me wishing, for him to go kill himself. But at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is make that my burden.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not gonna allow you, because even with that, like, it's just it's a spiral effect, because I've been in a situation where I had a friend threaten to kill themselves if I stopped being their friend. And for that made me stay, and whatever case may be, still keep fucking with that person. But then it comes to a point where you gotta realize, like, this is not, I'm not, you're dictating how my life life is supposed to be. You're dictating whatever I do and whatever I say and whatever the case may be. Even as a friend, you're wild toxic. So don't think that your friendships can't be toxic.
And then you catch on to the manipulation after a while.
Right.
Like,
and I told him, like, listen, listen, at the end of the day, sis, that you killing yourself is not you killing yourself because of me or anything that I'm doing and me being your friend and not being your friend. That's issues that you have. Because when you have exchanges with people, you have friendships with people, sometimes your lives do interlock or whatever case may be. You exchange energies and the connection becomes different when you allow the person in to a certain extent. But you also in any respect, you still have to remain yourself. And sometimes it takes you a while to snap out of this shit, but and not a lot of people get to snap out of this shit, but I do commend everybody who called in, including Slim and everybody else who's been in situations like that and was able to come out. Like,
and shout out to my homeboy Paul. He actually just said women adapt, and that is so effing true, because like I said, even towards the ending of the relationship, I felt it was over, and I didn't feel it got. I remember towards like that last month relationship, I was already feeling like like we don't argue, so that's good enough. Like, we're not fighting, so that's good enough. His attitude stink, but whatever. I don't gotta stay in the house all day with him. And I just became complacent in that, and I was settling OD. I was not happy. And I knew I could be happier, but I just felt like, well, whatever. It'll probably get better down the line. But like exactly what you said, Paul, like I was super just adapting to the situation by that point. And like for me, if we weren't fighting, that was enough. And I was just like, all right, whatever. And so that's why I said at that point now, when it became verbal and he started to like spew all this bullshit, I was just like, okay, because if you've been finding ways, in my opinion, to push me away, and it's like, how long am I gonna ignore you pushing me away? So like, that's not love. Like, this ring that you got on my finger is not enough to say, well, yeah, you want to be with me, so the fuck what? Like, so what? At this point, so what? You aren't changing as a person. So I don't care what you want to be with.
There was another episode in which I talked about that too, and I that's one of the signs. Like, if the situation is fucked up and then the nigga all of a sudden pop up like, oh babe, I want to be with you and I want you forever. I promise I'm gonna change and I just want you as my wife, or whatever the case may be. I promise things is gonna be different. That's one of the biggest ways to control a woman, because
she's hoping for that.
Yeah, y'all know a lot of the times, especially with the way society has us set up, is that
like a woman
we're looking for a ring. We're looking for a ring, and that's something that we all aspire to be, somebody's wife.
Yeah. That's
so
all a woman is.
That's the biggest thing that a lot of guys will use to control you, ladies. So I say this again: if the situation is you're not happy, you're not whole.
You don't owe anybody.
You know what I'm saying? You don't owe anybody your hand in marriage. Yeah. You don't. Because the ring is not going to change anything. It's going to solidify the fact
neither is a baby.
Neither is a baby. It's going to solidify the fact that they got you and you're not going anywhere.
Because I promise you, he was trying his hardest and his damnedest to get me pregnant. And that's how I know it was not, because it was not happening. It was just not happening. And I thank God.
Yeah, you're very fortunate, bro.
In that relationship, I was like, all right, I'm ready to have it because I'm getting older. I'm like, I want to have a kid. So fuck it, why not? He's here. He's supportive. And I really wanted to have a baby with him. But I thank God I didn't. Because that shit, I know with him, that would have been a never ending story. It wouldn't even been your typical baby daddy. I feel like it would have been on some, he would have tried to get custody of my child type shit. Like, and it got real nasty. So I'm grateful that you know, we didn't go down that route. But it, like, God was looking out for me, because like I said, certain shit just wasn't happening. It wasn't moving the way it was supposed to. And like I said, I'm glad I finally was able to break away from that situation. And, you know, pretty much to wrap it up, like what you were saying, to any woman in any type of situation, like, we can't sit here and tell you to leave, yo, because it's I get it. And sometimes we're not ready, and sometimes unfortunately it takes that person to leave you alone to leave. But understand though that it doesn't get better. It doesn't. I was speaking to a lady at the bank. She was with her husband for 10 years and she's super unhappy. And it's like, he's the same way. If it's not physical abuse, it's going to be verbal abuse, it's going to be emotional abuse, and all you're going to do is either self-destruct, and especially if you're already a self-destructive person, which I was, you're either going to self-destruct or you're going to be toxic and you're going to destruct that person, or you're going to be left traumatized where now you're figuring out the dating process, and now the dating process becomes harder for you because you don't even want anybody around you. Like I said, I don't even be wanting niggas to like me too much now. So it's just like it's a whole healing process. And if you're not, I've been forced to heal. Not everyone has that blessing because it sounds crazy, but I've been forced to heal. I've been forced to be knocked the fuck down to where I have to heal and I have to figure it out. I have no way out. But not a lot of people have that faith or those angels watching, in a sense where your life turns into a way where you have to get the fuck out. So some of you have to be mentally strong enough to leave by yourself and do things on your own, but understand that it takes work and you're gonna have to heal yourself before you can move forward.
And I just wanted to say, like, to anybody out there, woman, man, a lot of kids go through this with puppy love and everything like that, and just know that you have this strength within you. It'll take something that nobody else can tell you or show you to unlock it. That's something you have to tap into yourself. But just know that you are strong, you are purposeful, you are worthy, you are appreciated, you are loved. And a lot of times we lose the people around us, but just know that you're not alone. And that if you do call for help or if you need something from somebody, they're gonna be there. They're gonna be there. Maybe not be the person that you want, but it will be the person that you need at the time. And sometimes it doesn't even mean that you cling on to the person or whatever, because there's a such thing as I forgot the actual name, but when you're rescued and then you cling on to that person because they rescued you, now you have kind of this hero syndrome and stuff like that. It happens a lot in like law enforcement and firefighters and stuff like that, but that doesn't mean anything. You know what I'm saying? Just take certain things for what it is. Don't think too deep into it. Allow it to just be what it is. But the biggest thing that I need to tell everybody is that these are choices. You know what I'm saying? God gave us the gift of choice, or whoever you believe in, know that we have the gift of choice. As much as we talk about, you know, systems and the government and this and that, but in your personal life and what you have going on personally, what you can control. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't mean another person. That doesn't mean anything but yourself. You are in control of your own actions. So if you want to leave. If you want to do something, do it, because at the end of the day, life is short. You know what I'm saying?
In control of your own happiness.
Life is short. So what do you want your life to be? What do you want your legacy to be? If you know what I'm saying, if you want to have kids, what do you want your kids to see? Is this the pattern behavior that you would allow for your child? And that could be your son or your daughter. Do you want your son or your daughter to be the abuser or an abusee? Because even in situations where your parents or somebody around you is abused, because in my situation, I was very, very small. Like, I was like baby, like between baby years, infantile to I want to say like 3-4, where my father was abusive to my mom and you know, almost killed her and stuff like that. And I take pride in the fact that she was able to walk away and stuff like that. But I have this mantra that I say with my brothers, and where we say like, yo, we're not gonna be our dad. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna be our dad. And it's crazy because you don't even necessarily have to know somebody to know their toxic behavior. You know what I'm saying? Or for it to be, I don't know if this shit is genetic. I don't know if this shit is genetic, but it's definitely a generational curse. Because I know, especially in Caribbean households, but we're only talking, when we say certain things, it's only because we're talking about what we know, and we can only give y'all examples off of what we know. So not saying that this doesn't happen to other people, but in our situations, majority of us are Caribbean or of Latina or Latino descent, or whatever case may be. So in our environments, it stems from slavery or stems from whatever traumas that originally started from your greats. But we are the generation that's going to put a stop to that shit. I strongly believe in it. I'm working on it and within myself and within my own circle and my own family. I feel like there's a way out for everybody. It's never too late to even express certain things, because I had somebody in my family who's older, whatever case may be. When the person's ready to talk about it, we gonna talk about it. But they shared to me in their 50 plus years of life that when they were around our age, if not younger, that they were raped. And it's like, who am I for you to share that with? You know what I'm saying? But it's just that was who I needed to be in that moment for them. I was an ear, and to just listen, and in that they already started their healing. You know what I'm saying? So don't be afraid to talk about it. Don't be afraid to talk about it. Don't be afraid to be judged. Don't be afraid to, for people to look at you a certain way. At the end of the day, that's just, it comes with the territory, unfortunately, but there's another side to it. And the healing process is going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly. You're going to lose things. You're going to gain things. But at the end of the day, there's another side to it. And y'all got to understand that life, it don't stop. Time doesn't stop. Things keep happening, you know what I'm saying? So there's going to be other stuff to deal with. But in you dealing with this right now, it'll prepare you for the bigger things or whatever else that's going to hit you coming up. So don't stay in this moment, because you'll forever be in this moment when there's so many things that you're blocking. You're blocking your blessings. You're blocking, the person who is waiting for you to love you properly. And you're losing jobs, you're losing money, you're losing certain things. Some people even lose their kids in the process, and the person that they're dealing with, unfortunately, they do end up having a baby with them, and then the person trying to control them, they now end up hurting the baby, raping them, molesting them, killing them at this point. You know what I'm saying? All of this is not new. It's just social media has brought all of these things to light, but it's not new. And I need for everybody to really strongly take control of your life, and don't allow certain situations, certain people to dictate it. You know what I'm saying? If you pray. If you meditate. If there's some way that you find solace and peace, do that. But at the end of the day, like we keep saying, find your happiness. And when you find your happiness and you find your strength and you walking in your purpose and you walking the way you should, you're going to attract the things that you need to attract. Because I promise you, with all of this toxic shit that's going on, it's not to say to blame you, but sometimes we also attract what we are. So, and that's why we keep reiterating the fact that you have to be whole within yourself. You have to do the work for yourself. If you need to go to therapy and talk to a professional who gets paid to do these things and to tackle these problems, you have to go to a professional. Some people, they don't go to therapy. Sometimes they find therapy in other places, but that's something that you need to identify and for you to lock in. And I believe in you. I have faith in you. I love you, whoever you are.
And substances is not always the answer either.
Substances are never the answer.
It's a cool little coping mechanism, but it ain't the answer at the end of the day, because the problem is still going to be there.
Substances are never the answer. They're never the answer.
Your problems are going to be there once you sober right the fuck up.
Right, because when you're in this vulnerable state, you got to understand what vulnerability is. You're susceptible to a lot of things, because now
it only gets worse.
You're depending on this bottle now. And when the bottle runs out, now you're spiraling.
Gonna depend on something else.
You're depending on this drug, and that leads you to depend on the next drug. Or you're depending on sex.
On someone.
Or you're depending on sex to be your sense of relief, or whatever case may be. And you're not identifying that this is part of the problem. It is part of the problem. There's healthy sex that you enjoy. Toxic sex is detrimental to yourself and your energy. And it'll cause you to think differently. As much as y'all think y'all in control of y'all pussies and in control of y'all penises and dick and balls and all of this shit, trust me. Y'all gotta once you doing things healthy, my nigga, you feel so much better. So much better. That healthy nut is unmatched. I'm just saying.
We would have ended on that note.
I'm just saying. Lethalist podcast.
No, but I hope you guys got yes for the clap.
Thank you.
I hope you guys definitely was able to take away a lot from this episode. I want to share this because I really don't want to keep talking
dwelling
about it to friends and family and dwelling on it. I have to start my own healing process.
Right.
So I want to more so thank everybody that has supported me, because like I said, a lot of my friends, especially Facebook friends, y'all all really showed up and showed out for me when everything was going on. So I appreciate the support. I got a lot of phone calls, I got a lot of everything like that. So I definitely was reminded of the village and the support system that I have, and that I appreciate. And so we're gonna keep going. We're only gonna grow and get stronger and get bigger and get better. So yeah, I just ask you guys just continue to respect my space, when I need it, and y'all been doing that. So except for a few fuck niggas that's just being my DMs talking about nothing, but you've been blocked, sir. And I'm gonna continue to block, but I appreciate everything. So yeah, you guys can find us. Oh, if anybody needs help, I meant to come up with some hotline numbers or something, but you guys do that, man. You guys put some numbers down if you can in the comment section as far as like help me hotlines for either suicide or domestic issues. Just write some numbers down. I'll probably try to go back in the chat and write a couple numbers down, or we revisit this next week and just
we'll put it on the video.
But I'll post a couple numbers on the video, because at the end of the day, I don't want to give advice without giving any type of help and things like that. And like I said, they have the Therapy for Black Girls. You guys can look that up. They also have free therapy things. I'll get the information for that too as well, because they actually do have free therapy. That's what I'm doing right now because I ain't have insurance. But and child, that hospital bill. But
it's crazy what you left with once the dust settles. But
child, $10,000
for those who
I'm not paying that.
For those who do have insurance, I would say go on ZocDoc, type in your insurance, type in your address, and they'll pull up all of the therapists, their pictures, their the things that they focus on, and you know what I'm saying, so you could take control of your life again.
Take control. That's the biggest thing we're gonna leave you guys with. Take control of your life and happiness, everything. You take control. Make sure you guys follow us on lethal_lips with a Z _podcast. Do you have any events coming up?
I can't think right now. Just follow me on King Sylvie. I would say we're doing a book bag giveaway. I was saying it last week. We're doing a book bag giveaway with Sprig Round. We have 3 bags that we're giving away. So just follow Music Exclusives with no E. Follow Sprig Round, and I'm gonna post it on my page too. So just follow me and King Sylvie, KINGSLVY. And whatever I have coming up is there. I hate talking about myself. I really do.
She got the rundown there though. See someone. Thank you, Courtney. You got NYC 1-800-621-HOPE. That's for domestic violence. Thank you, love. Thank you. So yeah, we're gonna add more numbers down, and if anybody else got any more stuff, you guys can add it, because it's a lot of people that, even if they're not saying that, they might need the help. Feel free to DM me too if you guys are going through anything, because I know a lot of you guys hit me up and we cry together, child. And follow me on Instagram, urban_classic with a Q, and we are out.
Bye guys.
Make me wanna pull up on you, would you mind?